Welcome back to another amazing chess game analysis. And amazing is certainly one of the words you can use to describe this 500 ELO Blitz game. Because, well, unlike most 500 ELO Blitz games, there was only one instance where a player just straight up blundered and hung a piece. Only one, okay? But yet, there were a lot of next level mistakes made where players weren't hanging pieces, but they were making other mistakes that are like one level up from that led to a lot of problems. And we're going to explore those today because a black decided to play defense like James Harden and just leave everything wide open. And we're going to talk about punishing that, and we're going to talk about some of these mistakes. And hopefully we can all learn from this game because I think this is a really actually illustrative game. Okay, so we have a scotch. So far so good, and then now so far not so good. Pawn to c5, c queen, I attack queen. But here's the problem. It now black has a backward pawn, and you can even ask the coach, hey, and it even shows you. That's actually really cool that it does that. What's a backward pawn? A backward pawn is a pawn that if you push it up, it instantly just gets blundered. So and also that's like part one of a backward pawn, and part two is there's no pawn that could be pushed up to defend it, or is defending it right now. So this c pawn moves out of the way. Now this pawn can no longer be defended because this pawn's gone. This pawn pushed up, and then if it pushes up, it's a blunder. So that's what a backward pawn is. Backward pawns are really juicy targets, right? Really juicy. Like you got to move the juicer to attack the juicy target. I'm just kidding. But the reason why they're such good targets is there's no pawn support, right? So the bishop can come and target the pawn. The rook can come and target the pawn. The knight can go here and target the pawn. So it's like it's really easy to attack the pawn. Queen goes out of the way with check, bishop blocks, now queen goes back here. And now this pawn is so weak. You disconnected your queen from defending the pawn. The only defender is this bishop. Now this bishop can go attack the pawn. We can have queen Giga Chad queenside castles, which brings the rook over to attack the pawn. Um, this knight can even attack the pawn if this bishop moves or something. So I mean, the pawn is just so weak and so easy to just pile up threats on it. And now we have pawn to b6. Um, the computer wanted the queens to get traded because that shuts down white's activity a little bit more and makes black's position a little easier. But now we have knight to d5. So blocking backwards pawns is a good idea a lot of the times, especially isolated pawns. But there really was no reason to block it yet because there's no way black could push it up. So this move is a little unnecessary. This doesn't come with any threats whatsoever. And the computer wanted this move because it puts a lot of pressure here, and there's only two ways to defend that. Queen here, which blocks your bishop, or knight here, which puts the knight on a really uncomfortable square, and then you can even have this bishop take it. I don't know if I would necessarily do that because after this, then this rook can come in and maybe attack. You'd have to castle queenside at that point, but you could do it, and then you would still get this pawn with check, and make the black position really comfortable. So yeah, I think it is worth it to do that. So I think queen here is the only way that black could really defend it adequately. But now this pawn's gonna fall, because the queen's overloaded, it has to babysit two pawns. Um, so that's why that bishop move is good, and that's why this knight move is not so good. Bishop goes here, knight here, and everything gets traded. And after bishop to e3, we're now back to an even game, 0.2 on the eval bar. Now, as you'll notice, no pieces got blundered at any point in that. There were no stupid trades, no piece blunders, but here's why it's even. This pawn is still kind of weak, and this pawn is kind of weak, but now white has much less attackers, or sorry, much fewer attackers there is like no way to sustain pressure on these pawns, okay? The queen can easily babysit this pawn. No other white piece can attack it. The bishop can go here and just, I mean, it's not doing anything there, but it defends the pawn at least. This pawn's always going to get defended. The rook can come over, and this pawn's going to get defended. We have this pawn, this move, which is a really bad move. But like, let's say, like a few moves happen, and player's castle, and let's say like white like wastes a move, right? Black can play something like this, and if white wastes another move, you can even break out with this, and then now, like, you fixed all your pawn weakness problems. All the pawn weakness problems are gone. So, like, you can just see, like, when you see those juicy backward pawn targets, you should go for them instead of trading all the pieces, because you can see how easy it is for black to defend everything and recover. Of course, that required, like, white wasting a couple moves, but I just wanted to illustrate, like, how you can easily get out. And now, bam! This pawn is backward again, and it's now a target again. It's now a target again. And not only that, is this king is wide open. Move the bishop, like the computer says, and castle, and get your king safe. I guess you can't castle that way because this queen's right here. I'm actually stupid. Oh, no, well, you could if this pawn was still here. Actually, you could do that. Now, it does make this pawn, like, it's not perfect with that x-ray when you castle, but it's safer than this king being in the middle. You could also queenside castle. And yeah, your king is still pretty open to it for the queen can, or your king is open, the queen can get in, but you could move the queen back here or back here and patrol this rank, and white just has no attack. White just has no attack at that point. But now, bam. So not only does this open up the queen majorly, you also put every single pawn you have on the same color square as the bishop, so this bishop's not going anywhere. White with the Giga Chad queenside castle attacking the pawn. Okay, you know what? I said you put pawns on the same color as your bishop. Now white's like, black's like, I've got two pawns on the opposite color of my bishop. What do you think about that? I again think that playing safe is better. The computer wants to move the queen back here and trade queens, and it's going to be really hard for white to actually attack the weaknesses in the black position. Okay, now white saw black move a pawn up, so white is like, all right, I'm going to copy that and move this pawn up. Bishop moves. Okay, really good pawn break. Pawn to f4. Now the black position is going to get opened up. The king is going to get attacked. And now, bam, pawn to a5, responding to an attack with a counterattack that does nothing and in fact blunders a pawn. And this is the only like straight up piece blunder that was played in the game, which is good for 500 level. We're not seeing blunder, like crazy blunder after crazy blunder, queen hanging. We're seeing like more like next level mistakes. But as you can see, like, these mistakes are kind of easy to punish and create a lot of weaknesses once you like see them. Okay. This pawn take is really bad because it opens up this rook, which is right next to your king. So this basically is James Harden just getting out of the lane so the other team can just drive in there, and it also blocks the queen. But okay, now rook h to f1. It wins a queen. The queen has to go over here and trade itself off for the rook, because if you move the queen out of the way, you hang mate in 1. Can you find it? Can you see the mate? Well, here's how to think about it. This rook cuts off these two squares from the king. This rook cuts off these two squares from the king, which means all you have to do is check the king, and it's game over. There are 2 checks in this position. Well, that don't involve the rooks getting blundered. One is here that involves the queen getting blundered. The second is the checkmate, and the game is over. The queen hits those two, the rooks hit these, that is a clean checkmate, and white takes the pawn instead. One square away from the checkmate. One square away from the checkmate. Now rook goes here, trying to trade off. Again, the checkmate is there. You can play this. I think you can even play this, and that's still checkmate. Because the rook has to block, and then bam, checkmate. So okay, instead white sees pawn, white takes pawn. Queen checks, king moves out of the way, and the queen takes pawn, and this is mate in two. It is mate in two because you have. Oh boy, I should be able to find this. I think. Oh, it's literally the same thing. It's literally the same thing. Bam. Literally the same thing. The same check. All right. Now we have a trade of bishops. Okay, the idea is the bishop's defending this checkmate, so I'm going to trade it off. Okay, fair enough. It's still +8, and now it's still mate in 2. It is mate in 2, but not because of this. You had to actually play this. The queen cuts off all of these squares. Oops. All of these squares. I mean, the rook's blocking that one. So the only square, and the rook cuts this, recovers this square. The only square is this, and bam, that's checkmate. Wait, that's not checkmate? That's +8? What? How's that not checkmate? Am I stupid? This is mate. Yeah. Queen to f7, mate. But it's at +8. Thanks, eval bar. Okay. So that was a little weird from the eval bar. Okay. So still mate in 2. You still have it. You still have it. It's the same exact checkmate. But okay, everything gets traded off. Okay. Block. Okay. Let's okay. Okay. Take all the pieces. Again, this is checkmate because the queen covers these squares and the rook will cover these squares. So many checkmates. All right, more pawns get taken. King goes back. Okay, check. Okay, solid. If you saw that 2 turns ago, it was checkmate instantly. But now king goes here. Why are you pushing the pawn up? What is this? I know you're trying not to blunder the back rank. Okay, so I understand this. You're at least not blundering the back rank. But you don't have to worry about the back rank if you just checkmate the black king. But I understand this actually. It makes sense. I take back what I said. This is a fine move. I understand it. It doesn't really blunder the game. Queen checks. King goes here, and now queen. The game actually wanted to sacrifice itself for the pawn. That's how lost this is. Mate in 4, mate in 6, and now black resigned. Even though I don't know if white was ever going to find a checkmate. But black resigns, and as you can see, there was only one piece blunder, one hanging piece that whole game. But yet all those like next level mistakes that black made on defense like added up and resulted in a really weak king and just the position getting blown apart. So I mean, this is a bit of a longer video, but I hope this game is really instructive and that you learned something.